Welcome back to Ringside Stories. Feel free to like and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the content. As some of you guys have seen so far, Team Wilder, together with some sections of the online boxing community, specifically the Wilder fanatics, are having a hard time facing reality. Going as far as to say Tyson Fury's knockdown in round 3 was caused by an illegal punch, and that because of it, the match fully changed its outcome. Well, it did change the outcome, but this video will prove that Tyson Fury's knockdown was 1. Completely legal, given in its proper context. 2. The injuries Wilder may have sustained are a reason for concern from a medical point of view. Now, before we examine Fury's so-called illegal tactics and his so-called illegal punch that dropped Deontay Wilder in the 3rd, let's back up and check out Wilder's track record. I mean, after all, someone who's done wrong by illegal tactics could not possibly be accused of conducting these same tactics himself, could he?
Oh, hell no! Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Not to mention, Deontay Wilder had metal rods in his hands at one point in his career, which could account for part of Wilder's power. Maybe Wilder didn't have these metal rods in his most recent fights, who has been in there with Wilder twice. Here's footage after the Stavern 1 fight when Deontay Wilder captured the WBC Heavyweight Championship in 2015.
Wilder's power has a price, though. In 2009, he underwent surgery to repair a broken hand. Now, after 12 rounds, the metal rods implanted 6 years ago have literally bent. The metal rods implanted 6 years ago have literally bent.
So before you accuse Tyson Fury of using illegal tactics, look no further than the Bronze Bomber also, as there's dawning evidence, especially if you would do even more research on your own. The point is, let's not pretend Deontay Wilder is free from boxing sin. Tyson Fury's strategy was to take the fight to Wilder. In the 3rd, Fury threw his punch aiming for the side of Wilder's head. In response, Wilder half ducked the shot, which is partly why the punch landed where it landed. That's not Fury's fault, simply because Fury already threw his punch, and at this point, it was physically impossible to stop or redirect it. In all actuality, Wilder is more to blame here. The way that Wilder touched the canvas, almost face first in that 3rd round, is evidence that Deontay Wilder hasn't learned proper basic boxing defense. Wilder didn't slip, Wilder didn't even care to block this punch, and he kept his head in the line of fire. Only thing he did was half ducking the punch, turning his head in the process. Also, Fury hit Wilder in the ear area, which explains why blood was coming out of Wilder's ear. More on that later. Here's an angle no boxing commentator has touched on so far.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Although he's a mixed martial artist, the notorious one was notorious for his left straight. For example, September 2014, McGregor went up against the then top 5 ranked featherweight and later lightweight interim champion Dustin Poirier. Bang! Conor McGregor landed his left behind the ear of Dustin Poirier. When asked about the punch in the post-fight presser, nobody complained about this shot.
If it's above the ear but behind the ear, that's a clean blow.
No, it looked legal to me too. At no point did I get up and go, oh man, that was to the back of the head.
So much soft, beautiful tissue there that if you crack that little soft area, there's no coming back from that. So look a little closer. It was a legal shot. And that was that.
Now I will concede, Tyson Fury hit Wilder partly on the back of the head. However, A, Fury also hit Wilder's ear, which was evidently clear. B, Hitting the area around the ear is a legal shot, which Conor McGregor proved. C. Fury did not intentionally hit Wilder on the back of the head. D. Wilder himself turned his head. So if the punch did indeed hit Wilder on the back of his head, Wilder himself has to be held accountable for his actions just as much. Remember Fury's knockdown in the 9th round of the first fight? Well, Wilder hit Fury on the back of the head too. Fury didn't complain then, even though eventually it cost him the fight. Point is, it's a fight, guys, and these things happen in a fight. So in its proper context, Tyson Fury's knockdown in the 3rd round of the Fury-Wilder 2 fight was completely legit. What is more disturbing is that Deontay Wilder wants us to believe he did not get hurt on February 22nd, 2020. In an interview with BoxingScene.com after the fight, Deontay Wilder said the following. Speaking about the stoppage, Wilder told BoxingScene.com, "It's a human immediate reaction, like, I didn't want to see you get hurt. But I was hurt way more in the first Luis Ortiz fight than in this situation." Bruh. Just days before his second fight with Ortiz in November of 2019, Wilder revisited the round in which he got visibly hurt. Of that, Wilder said this.
I've never been hurt, so I don't understand the feeling of that.
What?
But I have been severely buzzed because when he hit me, I was, you know what I mean? That's the feeling that you hear.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
People can't differentiate between being hurt and being buzzed, so the calming, more humanly thing to say, oh, he's hurt, he's hurt.
Clearly, Wilder got beat from pillar to post in that round. And Wilder clearly got beat from pillar to post even worse against Tyson Fury in their second fight. And he wants us to believe he wasn't hurt? Wilder got hit flush plenty of times by a 273-pound man, which was clearly visible during and after the fight.
There's 2 doctors working diligently on Deontay Wilder. His ear is bleeding badly. They are stitching him up, and they will immediately take him to the hospital for a neurological test and to make sure that he is okay after that brutal beatdown he suffered at the hands of Tyson Fury.
Although the damage Deontay Wilder took in the Fury rematch was significant, Wilder himself does not want to acknowledge, much less admit, that he got hurt. The reality is, Wilder should care about his injury, especially from a medical point of view. Brian Sutterer is a resident doctor who specializes in rehabilitation, so when it comes to injuries that athletes sustain, Brian knows his stuff. Here are Brian's takes on Deontay Wilder's ear injuries.
Certainly a ruptured eardrum is one of the causes of bleeding from the ear, particularly in the case of what we call barotrauma to the eardrum, or any severe injury to the skull or around the base of the skull behind that whole portion of the ear can cause rupture of the eardrum. Barotrauma occurs when pressure builds up inside the ear that causes that rupture of the eardrum. This is what happens when someone gets slapped with an open hand across the ear. That pressure that gets pushed and forced into your ear causes that eardrum to rupture. This hit from Fury didn't look like it came directly on top of Wilder's ear, but there were some other times during the sequence where Fury's glove did seem to kind of come directly on top of Wilder's ear, so barotrauma causing an eardrum rupture is definitely a possibility. But what concerned me more watching this at first was the location of Fury's punch. A punch hard enough in this area would worry me about a possible skull base fracture and any sort of injury to the vestibular system within the inner ear. There's something called the battle sign that we can see when someone has a skull base fracture, where you get a lot of bruising around that area directly behind your ear where Wilder was hit. A skull base fracture can cause bleeding from the ear or a ruptured eardrum because of all that excessive trauma, and just based on how hard that hit was, where it was located, watching Wilder the rest of the fight, I still feel a little bit concerned that he could have a more serious injury, possibly a fracture.
And especially if you're interested in understanding athletes' injuries or sports topics in general from a different point of view, I encourage you to check out Brian's channel. Hopefully this video has given you some fresh perspectives on the aftermath of the Wilder vs. Fury 2 fight. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment below and let's have a conversation. Facts, fairness, and proper context. This is Boxing's Objective Observer with Ringside Stories. Thanks for watching and have a legendary day.